Hey, 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 Mom Nation, and welcome back to another episode of Live and Learn. I am so excited about today's guest, guys. This is really a conversation that every woman my age, and we all know how old that is, okay, it's no secret, needs to be having. So today we are going to talk with Dr. Scott. Thank you so much, Doc, for being with us today.
Well, thanks so much for having me, Katie.
Absolutely. You're very, very welcome. So, guys, today's guest brings a rare dual perspective to the conversation around hormone health, right? The hormone word, right? We need to talk about it. You know it. I know it. Dr. Scott Edwards is a traditionally trained medical doctor and a triple board certified functional medicine physician, also certified in aesthetics and anti-aging. Did I get that right?
Perfect.
Thank you. As well as the co-founder and medical director of Natural Radiance Aesthetics and Wellness in Scottsdale, Arizona. With over 20 years as a surgeon, professor of surgery, and international lecturer, Dr. Edwards has shifted his focus to hormone optimization after witnessing firsthand how profoundly it can impact quality of life, relationships, and long-term health. His work now centers on helping patients understand what is fact, what is fiction, and what is often left unexplained in modern medicine. And guys, just a quick reminder before we dive into this conversation, if you are finding value in these conversations and resources that we share on this Live and Learn platform, please take a moment to click the follow button or the subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform, or maybe you're watching us on YouTube. It's really one of the easiest ways to support the show and helps us continue to bring trusted experts with meaningful education and meaningful conversations to the community. So we do appreciate that. And with that, Dr. Scott, let's dive into this very big conversation.
Great.
Tell us, what are the most common signs that a woman's hormones might be out of balance, and why do these symptoms go unnoticed a lot of times?
That's a great question. It's actually a multi-layered question. I'm going to kind of go at it right from the start with saying, things change. We reach a certain age, male or female, and things start to be a little bit different. Some of the more common things related to hormones that make my red flags go up, that maybe I should be looking along the hormone line, is if a woman, obviously you hear about, the hot flashes, you hear about trouble, weight gain, things like that. But it's also mood, irritability. It's also sleep disturbances. Suddenly you're waking up at 1 o'clock. Suddenly you're waking up at 4 o'clock, can't go back to sleep, or, tossing and turning. Before it never was a problem. There can be issues with, weakness of the bones, weakness of muscle loss, things like that as well that you may not necessarily know, but the things you know about is the irritability, the sleep deprivation, the issues that could be affecting your mood. Depression, anxiety can also play into it. These are kind of the red flags that I kind of think that maybe also decreased libido and along those lines as well, having a difficulty maintaining moisture and painful sex as well. These are all kind of rolled into a broad category of we should probably be looking closer at the hormones. Now, why it often gets swept under the rug is that, number one, we are in a culture where, it's part of aging and that's just what we expect. And women especially just kind of settle for what they're given. Mm-hmm. And they oftentimes don't challenge it, and that's something don't know to challenge it, right. Don't know what options are out there, or they hear things and they don't know about it, and so they just stay away from it because it sounds a little strange. But in any case, that's part of the problem. The other problem is on the other side. When you go to your doctor about this, whether it's your primary care doctor, your internal medicine doctor, even your OBGYN, they may take a lab. They may not look at the right things, and they may not even recommend the right things. We can get into more about that later. Because traditionally, you mentioned I was traditionally trained. I'm an MD from a really good medical school. And a lot of the things we're going to talk about today, I never learned in medical school. And I can guarantee my colleagues who are also MDs didn't learn it either. In fact, what they learned was something that may be not even right. And we're going to go into that a little bit as well.
Interesting. So let's dive right into the hormone thing. I mean, we might as well. Tell us about the basics. What should we know as aging women about our own bodies in terms of hormones?
Okay, so women are not as complicated as you think they are. Men are simple, but women are not as complicated. And so you really are talking about first of all, in Natural Radiance, we look at everything hormonal. We just don't, stamp a card of whatever, if we're talking about testosterone or estrogen or whatever we're talking about. We look at everything. We look at your cortisol. We look at your thyroid. So many women come in and say, oh, you don't have to test my thyroid. My doctor says it's fine. The problem with that mentality is that the normal category is huge. And you can be really low in the normal low and feel pretty bad. Whereas I would like to see you a little bit on the higher side and feeling good. Still normal. So that's kind of the approach that we take. We're not looking to be normal as a 48-year-old woman. We're looking to be optimal. And that's what we're really basing it on: science, basing on evidence-based, basing on what's known out there right now where we should be. But getting back to it, so we're very comprehensive. But if we're talking about, the sex hormones, we're talking about testosterone, we're talking about estradiol, which is a female hormone, and progesterone, which is also a female hormone. Now, a lot of traditional training in the medical field says, okay, a woman comes in, she's 50 years old, she's having hot flashes. Okay, it must be just write a prescription for an estrogen. You're estrogen depleted. Your ovaries are not producing as much. It's in all the books. The reality, if you look at the literature on this, because it's been studied extensively, in the United States, only about 20% of women even need estrogen after menopause. And the reason why is because the ovaries are not the only thing making estrogen. You're making it from the subcutaneous tissues. The adrenal gland is making it as well. And you're also probably aromatizing things that we eat into estrogen as well. So most women have a little estrogen still even after menopause. So giving more estrogen is going to cause a problem, because the issues with these symptoms happen with the balance between estradiol and progesterone. So progesterone tanks after menopause. That goes to zero almost uniformly. There's nothing else making progesterone except the ovaries, and oftentimes they keep up. But you have a little bit of estrogen still there. So if you add more estrogen, you have more of an imbalance, and that means more symptoms. Now, conversely, if you were just to take a little bit of progesterone and go up, you would match that estradiol. It would be more in proper balance, and all the symptoms will go away. And it was an easy fix and an appropriate fix, and one that needs to be looked at with labs. So the first concept I want all your audience to know is you can't base any of these treatments on symptoms alone. You have to look at labs. You have to actually see what's happening in the body, because all the symptoms blend together. PMS symptoms look a lot like post or perimenopausal symptoms. And you don't know what's happening until you actually look at it. The other part is testosterone. A lot of women are don't want to take testosterone because they don't want to look like a guy. They want to grow hair. They don't, there's a lot of reasons that they don't want to do this. The reality is that women have testosterone normally. And unfortunately, the ovaries are the only thing that make testosterone. And when they start to go, testosterone goes down as well. That gives you lack of energy. That gives you your sex drive goes out the pot. It helps you, or I should say it allows you to carry weight more and harder to lose weight. So when you have trouble losing weight, you check the thyroid, you check testosterone before you start, talking about GLPs or peptides or something like that. That gives you a good basis for it. I can't remember the other part of your question.
It was just the basics of hormones. And I think that you thoroughly answered that, and I appreciate that. So that brings me to the question of balancing. Can we talk about what balancing the hormones look like? Am I referring to it correctly when I say that?
Yeah, I don't like to use the term replacement. It's not inaccurate. I just think a term balancing, hormone optimization is a more accurate word, because we're trying to get your physiology back to the way it was, and then it can function a lot better. And I don't know if we're going to talk about bioidentical versus non-bioidentical hormones.
That's the next question.
I'll go right into it.
Let's go right into it.
That's the second concept I want everybody to know about. If they forget nothing about this, know and the reason why there's a lot of confusion out there and a lot of misinformation out there is because there's not the acknowledgement of two separate categories of hormones. There's bioidentical and there's non-bioidentical. Okay. Bioidentical hormones are, exactly as the name implies, the exact same molecule that you produce as a human being. Non-bioidentical is everything else that's not, produced by a human being. A great example of this is Premarin. Premarin is probably the most commonly prescribed estrogen for women And, certainly in North America, probably the world. It's made by Pfizer, I believe. It's a tiny little white pill. And it's made very naturally, but it's made by taking pregnant horse urine and extracting the estrogen from it. They then change it around and turn it into a pill, and it has a ton of side effects. This is the problem with non-bioidentical hormones. I thought that was like historical reference, but that's exactly how it's made now. It's unbelievable. It's very cheap. But these are the things that we want to avoid, because when you deviate from what is actually made in the body to something else because it has a longer shelf life, or you can make it into a pill, or you can do something cute with it, then it's going to have side effects. And this has been proven over and over again in the literature for the last 40 years that these non-bioidentical hormones, no matter what it is, whether it's a progesterone or whether it's an estrogen or whether it was whatever, is subjecting you to certain risks: heart attacks, strokes, blood clots. I mean, it's all on the label. If you look at bioidentical hormones, the actual thing that we make, the last 40 years of literature have not one reported side effect if given correctly. And that's amazing. So that's why we always recommend bioidentical hormones.
Why are non-bioidentical hormones still so widely prescribed if we know all this?
Well, let's go back to medical training. So as I said before, MDs are not particularly skilled at hormone regulation. Mm-hmm. And it's not part of our training. And I never knew bioidentical hormones even existed when I was going through my training. I had to learn about it later when I became board certified in functional medicine. And I was shocked to learn at the literature on this. So there's ignorance and there's arrogance on the part of doctors. The ignorance is that we were never trained on it. And we are just going to give people what we were taught to give, which is write a Premarin prescription. And a lot of that comes from, and I'm speaking, anecdotally, just my own opinion now.
Sure.
Everything's been science-based until this next comment. My next comment is that drug companies, unfortunately, rule a lot of what happens in medical training and a lot of what doctors do. Yeah. And it's not the doctor's fault. They're just being lemmings. They're just following it. And they don't have time to check it. But if they did, that they would be a little bit better educated on the literature. Now, so that said, gosh, where was I going with this? I was going somewhere important. I can't remember.
Hey, that's okay. We're both in this together.
So that was the ignorance part. Now, the arrogance part is that, listen, I'm a surgeon. No one's more arrogant than a surgeon. Mm-hmm. And I see it happen all the time when a physician is confronted with a problem that they don't quite know how to handle. And a patient says, hey, what about these bioidentical things I've heard? If I don't have a lot of knowledge about that, I'm going to say, I'm going to default to, I wasn't trained on it. It must not be anything important. So I'm going to say, it's just kind of dumb. And that is kind of a knee-jerk reaction that a lot of physicians have, unfortunately. They don't have enough, I guess their ego gets in the way, and they don't have the time to really look into it. But I assure you that the literature is there on these things. Testosterone, for example, testosterone for men and women. This is a great example. If you have low testosterone, which a lot of guys do at a certain age, and a lot of women do, of course, even after 30, you have a higher risk of getting early Alzheimer's disease, heart attacks, strokes, and certain forms of cancer. In women, it's breast cancer. In men, it's a very aggressive form of prostate cancer if you have low testosterone. So if we don't correct this, you're heading down that path. Now, if you give non-bioidentical testosterone, then you're going to feel better. You're going to put on lean muscle mass. You're going to burn fat. You're going to have a great libido, but you're not going to change those risks. Those risks stay the same. In fact, there's some recent evidence to suggest that it may actually make it worse. That's why you got to check your lipid panels and you got to check your PSA and all these blood labs to be sure it's not going weird on you. Mm-hmm. Now, if you give bioidentical testosterone, all those risks that I just talked about, the heart attacks, strokes, early Alzheimer's disease, cancers, they go down in the neutral population right away. In fact, we don't ever have to check these labs because they actually improve. Your lipid panels actually get better on bioidentical testosterone. Did you know bioidentical testosterone was used to treat breast cancer, even in Western medicine?
No, I didn't.
Little known fact. And so when women come in saying, I have breast cancer, my doctor says I can't take this, can't take that, I said, well, you should definitely be on bioidentical testosterone because that actually inhibits any breast cancer.
Interesting. Thank you for sharing all of that.
Non-bioidentical doesn't do that, though.
Very interesting. Thank you for sharing that fact. So as you were explaining that, it started to answer my next question, which was, okay, all day, every day, we see posts out there in social media land. And I work with a lot of women. I network with a lot of women. The Mom Nation Arizona is for women, for moms. And most of the posts
God bless you for
are,
that.
thank you. Thank you. And most of the posts are, man, I feel exhausted. Gee, I'm feeling foggy. Wow, I used to be sharp. I can't remember anything anymore. So my question was, why is there such a disconnect between how we feel and when we walk into the doctor's office, what they tell us? And I feel like you've just described a really heavy reason for that disconnect.
I think so. It's ignorance and arrogance, and it's unfortunate. So I encourage anybody out there to get another opinion. If you heard something from I can't tell you how many people, men and women, come into my office and say, I feel like garbage and my doctor won't do anything about it. And that's just a common thing. Or they try this, they try that, and it's not working. It's making me worse. That's because there's just another approach out there. Here at Natural Radiance, we start with a comprehensive hormone panel. We look at everything. We want to see who the players are out in the field, because the body works in concert. It's not like a machine. You just replace the carburetor and things like that. It works it's like a symphony, and everything has to be tuned right. And if you don't do that, then you're going to miss a beat, and it's not going to work the way you need it to. So that's how we kind of like to approach it that way.
It makes a lot of sense, and thank you. This is kind of more of a personal question, and really my last question. You've said that optimizing hormones can save marriages and change lives in ways that surgery never did in your experience. Can you share what you mean by that and why this work feels so impactful for you?
That wasn't just hyperbole. That actually happened. So, I'm a surgeon, and I've had occasions where I've done some really cool things in surgery, and I still do cool things in the center here in aesthetics. But I would, somebody would, have an injury where their arm was removed from their body, and I would put it back on, and it would be functional for them. I gave them their arm back, and I never got any kind of gratitude the same way I get gratitude when I simply balance someone's hormones and they look me in the eye and said, "You've changed my life. I get up for a reason now. You saved my marriage." It goes on and on and on. And it's so easy to do this. And it's really, really quite gratifying.
I love that. And thank you for doing that, because I can see, not by experience or anything, how impactful your mood swings and mood changes and kind of, the way that you converse and communicate with your spouse. Once that changes, like, I totally understand how that can be extremely impactful to the relationship. And your poor spouse is like, what? I don't even know what's going on, right? Poor guy.
You should probably come in too.
Well, I was going to, after the show, talk with you about that, because I think it's high time that I come in and see Dr. Scott. And with that, if any of our audience members, obviously this was a lot of information, guys, huge, very, very impactful stuff, especially if you are about to make that journey, if you're in the middle of that journey, like I am, giant. So thank you so much, Dr. Scott. How can our audience members get in touch with you? What's the best way?
Oh, I guess go to our website and you'll see all the information there. We're right in the heart of PV Scottsdale. We have a beautiful building. You'll love it. And our website is naturalradiancemedspa.com. Happy to see you.
Awesome. I appreciate it so much. Thank you for spending your time with us today. I know for a fact that this episode has already impacted lives. So thank you for doing that and for caring about our mama community out there.
Thanks for having me. Let me get the message out.
Thanks so much, guys. And if you want to check out any of our previous episodes, Mom Nation members, hop on over to our YouTube channel. It is at Mom Nation USA. That's the handle. On your favorite podcast platform, do a quick search for Mom Nation Talk Radio. There you will find us. Like, download, subscribe, all of the things. You will never miss a beat. We appreciate you, Dr. Scott. We appreciate you out there, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Mom Nation, where moms find real support, real connection, and real community. Founded in 2014 by Katie Holly Lambert, Mom Nation started as a way to unite and empower moms. Now it's grown into a movement. Through vibrant communities, local events, and meaningful conversations, Mom Nation helps moms grow, share, and thrive together. Listen to From the Heart, where we share inspirational stories, useful information, and discuss a variety of women-related topics. And check out Live and Learn, where moms just like you share helpful tips, tools, and real-life skills. Be part of something bigger. Visit www.momnation.com and follow us on social media, because motherhood is better when we do it together.